This YCN segment is brought to you by La Valley Building Supply and Middleton Building Supply.
Welcome in, YCN Sports Talk. Jeremy Stout, and joining me this week for our big baseball preview as Major League Baseball season starts on Thursday is Brett Franklin from 94 ESPN Radio. Brett, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Jay.
And we also can listen to Brett every weekday, Monday through Friday, noon to 1 on 94.3 down here in Claremont, 94.5 in White River Junction, and online at 945ESPN.com. And Brett, we got some baseball to talk about later, but first let's get into the Sweet 16. March Madness is upon us. Your bracket's still alive. We talked yesterday on the show. We're doing okay.
Yeah, it was a very interesting first 4 days, NCAA tournament, and not many Cinderella teams left in this tournament, but I think we're getting good quality basketball, and I think the ratings were one of the higher ratings that the NCAA tournament has seen. It's been fun. It's been entertaining. I think that third day on Saturday saw a couple of blowouts that made it uninteresting, but for the most part, I think it's been good, and I think people who've picked the upper seeds as far as your brackets go, I'm sure they're very happy about that as well. But I think it's had a little bit of everything. Again, I do like it personally, at least having one Cinderella team in there making a run. I don't count Oregon as an 11 seed as a Cinderella team, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. I think this is the highest remaining the most amount of highest remaining seeds in the NCAA tournament since 2009. It's really only happened twice. So we're seeing a little bit of history, but I think we're also showing how good the top dogs are.
Right, exactly. And getting right into that, top dog is Duke in the East bracket. Obviously, they had a scare against UCF on Sunday night. One of the better games of the weekend, as you mentioned. Has Duke been kind of found out? Does somebody have the blueprint now, whether it be Virginia Tech, whether it be Michigan State, to make this Duke team shoot threes, and they're not a good three-point shooting team, or will they overcome some of their struggles and roll to the Final Four?
I don't think Duke's the best team, to be quite honest. I think North Carolina's the better team. I think Duke got exposed a little bit against UCF.
Right.
A game that the Knights probably should have won when it's all said and done. But I think there's been some exposing on the Duke side of things. Again, like you said, they can't shoot the three. Clamp down on Zion Williams, crash the boards, play good defense. I think there is a recipe to beat Duke. I don't think they're as dominant as everybody maybe brought them out to be. I know they have the superstar, they have the big name in Zion, but I think Duke's going to have their hands full against Virginia Tech. I do think the Blue Devils win that game, but playing a conference opponent who did already beat you at their place, even though it was without Zion Williams, I think the Hokies have to feel that they have a pretty good blueprint on how to beat Duke. But I don't think Duke's the top dog in this, but they escaped by the slimmest of margins in that second round.
And it would be a great matchup if Duke does win, and then Michigan State on the bottom half of that bracket. Obviously, Mike Krzyzewski, Tom Izzo matchup in the finals of the East region, so we'll see if that happens. Moving down the bracket to the West region, Gonzaga and FSU, a rematch of last year's Sweet 16. Everyone's thinking FSU, with the depth on the bench, with the athleticism, the height, they might be able to beat this Gonzaga team. I'm not buying it. What do you say?
Yeah, I have the Seminoles beating Gonzaga in this round here. Gonzaga's good. The Zags seems like they've woken up since they got beat by St. Mary's in that conference championship game. But you look at FSU, and they're just so deep, like you said. They can rebound. They can get to the free throw line. They have size. They play a really tough league schedule as well. And I think Leonard Hamilton's one of the most underrated coaches in NCAA basketball. And, of course, Mark Few's one of the best in the NCAA tournament. This is going to be a great game. The line, I think we said, is pretty small on this one. But I like FSU. I mean, give me the team that's gone through the grind, that's played the UNCs, that's played the Dukes. I think FSU wins this game, but it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting game. And then the other half of that bracket is Michigan and Texas Tech. Michigan, we know what they can do, obviously going to the finals last year. Texas Tech kind of crept up on some people this year after losing a couple players and graduating some seniors. Texas Tech team, great defensive team. Michigan and Texas Tech, I think, is going to be the game of the weekend. Who do you think advances there?
Yeah, I have Michigan coming out. I think John Beilein's one of the best coaches we talk about underrated coaches. I think he's underrated and he's one of the best. Michigan got out to a 17-0 start to the season. They've really ramped up their defensive pressure. As you mentioned, for both teams, Texas Tech kind of had that real head-scratching loss in the Big 12 tournament when they were bounced by a very underwhelming West Virginia team. I think Michigan has a little bit more scoring in them than Texas Tech, but hats off to the Red Raiders. Chris Beard, what he's been doing as the head coach there, has really turned that program around. But I like Michigan. They're my team to go face UNC in the national championship game. I just think Michigan is just one of those consistently good programs year in and year out.
All right, so you have Michigan coming out of that bracket, obviously, if they're going to go to the finals. And then in that top bracket, the East region, you have Duke or Michigan State advancing out of that bracket.
I have Duke.
All right, so it's Duke and Michigan for him. I have Duke and Gonzaga in the Final Four on that half of the bracket. We'll take a break and come back. Talk about the other two brackets. Obviously, UNC. Can Virginia make a run to the Final Four this year? We are watching YCN Sports Talk.